Hey everybody, happy Monday. I am driving home from vacation, so yeah, get your kicks in. I know I look like some kind of a bad 90s movie right now. I mean, it's a phase, okay? I'm trying to get somewhere. But I wanted to talk about something that I've been asked a few questions about, and I think people are confused and they don't always know what to do. So how to be a good youth sport parent is the topic of this talk. And again, for all of you, thank you for your concern. I'm looking straight ahead. There's literally a dash cam just on. So I get some comments every video. It can wait. Yeah, it can wait. I'm not looking at this. You can wait with your comment. So as far as this topic, the first thing I would say is find a league and find a team that is going to help your child's development. And what I mean by that is, I would say, don't always just join teams with your friends' kids. Don't always just find out what your kids' friends are doing and then do that, or don't just try to find the most advanced league or the lowest level league or play up or play down. You need to make these decisions consciously on, does this coach embody some of the things that we believe in as parents? Is this the type of diversity that I want to expose my child to? Right, wrong, or indifferent, you need to make those decisions purposefully. Like, do you want your kids to know, to be around different types of kids, to be able to learn how to have relatedness and interact? Those are conscious decisions you should make about what league and what team you join your kid into. And it doesn't matter the sport. You need to understand the implications of their long-term development, mentally, physically, and spiritually, in these situations. I'm not all about protecting kids and putting them in specific environments that are only what you like, but that's not my decision to make. These are your kids, obviously. So that's one decision that you should make first. The second thing should be the best way to be a youth sport parent is to do exactly like this. That's right. Like, say nothing. You do nothing. I have never, in over 20 years of experience in coaching athletes, had an overly involved parent athlete relationship that ever made it even into a successful college career. Now, there are some out there. I don't need to mention names, but there's some out there, and those people typically struggle when they get to the highest level. But I personally have never had anybody with an overbearing parent, child, athlete, coach relationship that actually did anything. And I think that speaks volumes. You need to put your child in a situation where they can learn how to navigate the problems within that team. They learn how to communicate. You don't need to go solve problems for your child. You don't need to go tell the coach how to do things. Okay, that is going to hamper their development. Now, choosing a team, choosing a coach is a whole different thing. But once you're in that, you need to let it happen. You need to let it happen. You need to empower that coach to make decisions. In fact, one thing that I think is very important is to ask your kids, hey, what is Coach, I can use an example for us, like, what is Coach John asking you to do? I see you're playing a new position out there. Well, I'm supposed to stay in the middle, so when the ball goes onto the defensive side, I wait so they can kick the ball up to me, and then I pass it up. Well, that could be something. And as a parent, what I think can often happen is, if you don't understand what the coach is telling your kid to do, you can be coaching against the coach, which is a very stressful situation for a kid to be in the middle of. So one thing, the appropriate questions for you, appropriate interaction with the coach would be, hey, like my daughter Waverly said that you wanted her to stay in the middle when the ball went past midfield. Is that right? Yeah, we're trying her at this position. I'd really like that. So then now you can echo those things at home if you choose to have conversations about it. At least you're not putting the child in the middle between two adults. Because kids can very early on with youth sports learn how stressful it can be to be in between two adults and two egos and two things like that. You don't want that to be part of the experience that affects how they view sport. You've got to be calculated in how you deal with these things. So appropriate interactions from a parent to a coach would be knowing exactly what in the world they're wanting you to do, knowing or your kid to do, knowing what they're wanting, so then you can reinforce those things. And if you don't believe in those things, there's different conversations, but quite honestly, it doesn't matter. You're not the coach. Let them run the ship and then you back them up. Show your kids how leadership works and how to be a good follower and how to be someone that can execute even when they don't think something is the best practice. So that's a good opportunity for you to do that. Last but not least, okay, thank your coach for coaching your kid. Every bit of energy and time they put into your child is most likely volunteer. Even if they're at the middle school or junior varsity level, they are not getting paid a high wage to work with your kid. You need to be thankful for the time and energy they put into your kid directly, into teaching them lessons that are going to affect their life, their outlook, the way that they view their body, and the sport at the very least. So thank them, and also teach your kid to thank them. Oftentimes I'll tell my kids, go thank your coach. Thank them for coaching you today. I saw them giving you some pointers and giving you discipline and coaching. Go tell them thank you. And they'll do that. And I think that's important. And I'm not trying to put a rose on my nose. What I'm saying is the kids need to know that that is important, that these things are a gift and they're not a given, and that these people are giving their energy away from their own families, regardless if they're getting paid or not. They should be thanked for that. And then I think with all these things, it's like you got to get back to what is sport about? You know, what are you trying to do? And you're trying to develop things that are going to cross over that they'll use for their entire life as a citizen, as a parent, as a spouse. And then some of them will be in sports for a longer period of time, which is great. But I think you got to make sure that you fundamentally as a parent aren't teaching your kids bad habits. And I think that parents that are overly involved, they take away their kids' ability to solve problems on their own. Now, sometimes there are real problems. There are. I mean, let's be honest. Sometimes you get yourself in a situation where it's not a good team dynamic. It's not a good culture. The coaching's not great. This is what I would encourage is start building your kids' confidence and having conversations. Allow your child to have those conversations without you. Before you step in, allow them to have those conversations and report back to you how they went. I would very, very much try to stay away from getting involved with the coach directly. If you need to, if you absolutely need to, go to them in a way that is affirming their efforts and just ask a lot of questions. Sometimes if coaches can just talk it out, sometimes coaches can just tell you why they're doing, then just in the process of them telling you those things, they're going to realize there's a fault in their logic. Okay? You don't have to just start nailing them on all the things they're doing wrong. They're not the coach for Arsenal, okay? Of course, there's going to be things that you may see differently. But unless you want to jump in there and help, and they want your help, it can be a tricky situation. And coaching your own kids is a completely different dynamic and topic to talk about. But in summary, I think the three biggest things about being a youth sport parent is one, you've got to pick the right situation for your kid. Not the most convenient, not what would make you the most excited to brag about to your friends, but the right situation for your kid for the goals you want to accomplish. Second, make sure to affirm, not fight against whatever that coach is trying to get your child to do in the game. Support those initiatives. Make sure you're not coaching against the coach. And then number three, thank the coach for their time and energy and that they're pouring into your child. Very, very important. You know, I had some people shoot some messages, and I've been interviewed on podcasts a lot lately, of course, about Patrick and his childhood and all this. And while, I mean, I'll be honest, like I was involved from fourth grade on, but I mean, obviously, all credit is due to, Patrick. God made Patrick, and then Patrick did the work. But let me tell you something. His parents were phenomenal in the way that they interacted with him in sports. His dad played professional sports, but to my knowledge, he never was aggressive with the coach on what the coach was doing with Patrick or why he wasn't playing this or that and the other. And Patrick wasn't always the starter of everything and the star of everything, and especially at the high school level. So, that's one example of some parents that did a fine job. He and Randy both, they supported Patrick, but they didn't get overly involved. And it allowed Patrick to be able to learn how to fight in those situations, be competitive, have good conversations, be a good teammate, and develop. Now, not all of us have goals of our kids being an NFL MVP, but I would argue that this supports the development of a human being more than anything. And to give credit where credit's due, they did a fine job. That's one example. There's many examples. I could go on and on about examples of pro athletes from East Texas that I've known their parents directly, and most commonly, the parents that their kids eventually have a high level of success, this is what they'll say to someone like myself or the coaches. They're yours to do whatever you want. You let us know what you need for them or what you need us to keep an eye on. Okay? I think he or she can get better. I think they're a little overrated. I think they need to work. That's typically their disposition. Now, every parent's going to be a fan of their own child, but typically the kids that make it a long way, that's the disposition that we see commonly from. So thanks again for all the suggestions on topics. I feel like you guys are making me pick on youth sports a lot, and I don't mean to, but bring me some other topics. I don't care if it's, how to get faster or, whatever. Can you really coach speed? I don't know. Give me some topics, and I'll bring them. Even if it's coaches on any level, I'd love to talk specifically to things that can help you guys where you're at. You guys have a great day. Happy Monday.